This conference will now be recorded.
The Cottage Grove Town Board will hold a public meeting beginning at 7 p.m. on Monday, March 4th, 2024 at the Town Hall at 4058 County Road N. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. We have a quorum present. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. I'll call the meeting to order. We'll stand for the flag pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You have the minutes of the February 19th meeting in your packet.
I'll move approval of the meeting minutes and note that there was a correction from the last meeting where we had approved $904,890.13 for EFT payments. That should have only been $14,083.80.
So motion by Duplay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Anders to approve the minutes for February 19th with the correction that the EFT payments were $14,083.80, not the $904,890.13. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Finance report and approval of bills.
I'll move approval of the checks 36,911 through 36,955 be paid, and EFT payments of $25,332.85. And we have voided check for number 36,940 for the wrong amount.
Second.
Motion by Duplay, second by Fonger to approve checks 36,911 through 36,955 with check 36,940 being voided and the EFT payments of $25,332.85. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. You also have your unaudited cash investment balance of $3,757,180.48 and the credit card charges for this period, and you have the February per diems.
Approval of the per diems as presented.
Motion by Anders. Is there a second by Fonger to approve the per diems as presented for February? Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Anything else, Kim?
No, just to note that all the loan payments are due on March 15th, and I'll just pay those all with bank transfers. And then the new loan that we'll need to take out for the new F-550, we talked about having the quotes here for April 22nd, I think is that meeting. Is 3 banks good? Do you want 3 banks or 4 banks to get quotes?
There's 4 now.
There's 4 in town.
Why not do them
Might as well
all?
do them all.
Might as
Yeah.
well.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
Okay. Next item is public concerns. Public's opportunity to speak to the town board about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Anyone online for public concerns?
Look like it.
Then we'll move on to Plan Commission recommendation. Travis Lesser, petitioner, John Dolan, Tracy Teskey, property owners. Parcel 711-231-9500-1 and 0711-242-9120-8 and 0711-231-9800-8 and 0711-231-8140-9 at 3685 Ridge Road. Petition to restructure and rezone 4 parcels into 2 lots to correct an illegal parcel for Dane County. One for 20.54 acres from FP 35 to FP 1, and one from 2.46 acres from RR 2 to RR 16, and a 9.6 acre from FP 1 to RR 16. And Mr. Lesser called me today. He has a plan commission meeting, was unable to make it tonight. The plan commission's motion was to approve the rezone as presented, noting that the residential parcel exceeds 2 acres due to topography. Ridge Road right-of-way should be dedicated to the town with the new CSM.
I'll second the chair's motion.
I was just reading. So you're making the motion?
I will.
Motion by Anders, second by Duplay to accept the Plan Commission's recommendation. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now we have a presentation by Metro Grow about the spreading of biosolids on farmland in the town. Martin,
Hi.
Thank you,
Welcome.
presenter.
Haven't yet.
I'm ready for right now.
Getting that set up. I'll introduce myself. I'm Marty Griffin, one of the directors at the sewer district. And also with me, Ross, who's our operation supervisor, and Zach, who's our biosolids specialist. So we all have a little piece of this presentation, the information we're going to share. So as we share it, feel free to ask questions as we go through. You don't have to like wait to the end, especially as we all have different sort of parts. So I guess we can get started. We can go right to the next slide, Amanda. So just a quick intro to the sewer district. You know, we serve over 20 different communities and we accept their wastewater either through like a septic or through the pipe system, right? And so biosolids is a byproduct of that wastewater sort of treatment. And so disposal is an unavoidable step, right? I don't know, if you do the next slide, so you can kind of see.
I don't know, it's not
anything,
wanting
but,
to advance.
So since we know we have biosolids, right, we really look for ways to improve how we manage our biosolids and reuse them in a way that's sort of beneficial. So our current philosophy of the sewer district is to do land application of biosolids. We feel that that's more sustainable, more environmentally friendly, and it's much better option, we feel, than landfilling or incineration. So when we talk about biosolids management, and you'll hear a little bit from Ross and Zach, we really like to take this holistic approach to make sure that all the nutrients we collect, you know, from all you all in our service area, things like that, return back to the food cycle. So that's what that slide up there is kind of showing, that holistic cycle of, you know, we eat food, we generate nutrients, it comes to the treatment plant through septic or other ways. We create biosolids and we put that back out on the land. and it goes to feed more crops. It's for that whole sort of like nutrient cycle. And so some of you all are familiar with Yahara Winds, which is our adaptive management project they're part of. And so regional water quality is really important. We're all working together. So we always want to make sure our biosolids land application also accounts for nutrients in that nutrient cycle. So, so I'll pause there and hand it off to Zach, who is a biosolids specialist, and he'll talk a little bit about how we actually do an aspect what we like to do, right?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I stand here?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I'm Zach Thompson. I'm the biosolid specialist. So I do a lot of the grower communication and lining up fields for the land application. I do all of the DNR regulatory reporting. And as Marty stated, so we're a Class B biosolid. So we are heavily regulated by the DNR, that is Wisconsin Administrative Code, NR 204. All of the sites that we apply on are pre-approved through the DNR through an application process. So we have to send in a submittal package. They look it over and approve the application sites for us. A lot of that includes, so I would have to go out and I would have to dig down 36 inches in potential soils to have groundwater or bedrock. So if there's groundwater within 36 inches, bedrock within 36 inches, we can't apply on those sections of the field or those soil types. You know, it has a lot of different setbacks, you know, residential setbacks, private wells, community wells, wetlands. We have buffers around wetlands that we have to stay away from. As on the slide there, it shows the product is injected into the soil rather than surface applied. So we actually have two different types of bars that we use. Low disturbance bar, so we're only disturbing a small section of the soil every 36 or every 30 inches. And the other type of bar we have, it still injects, but it has some disc on it, so it does a little more tillage for some of the growers that can have more tillage on their fields. The 3-year application rotation cycle is kind of our program standard. Occasionally, you know, if the phosphorus levels in the field aren't too high, we might go back in 2 years, but we never go back 2 years in a, you know, 2 years in a row. So we kind of like to keep that in rotation there. Next slide, Amanda, please. So our product is treated at the plant, you know, to control pathogens and bacteria. Every week that we haul, or every day, we take daily grab samples. They are analyzed as a weekly comp sample for nutrients, and every month we take those same grab samples and we have comp monthly samples for nutrients and metals. And the bacteria samples we also take every day, or 7 a month for bacteria samples to create a geometric mean. And that bottom part of the slide there just shows some of our metal averages. You can see the EPA exceptional quality limit, like on the top one, the arsenic is 41, and we come back at like a 4.2. So we're running around 10% of the high quality level, you know, on the biosolids. As I mentioned, we are a Class B biosolid. There are Class A biosolids, which aren't as regulated by the DNR. And the difference between those is the pathogen control. So like a Class A biosolid would be 1,000 MPNs per gram and under, where a Class B is like 2 million and under. And I just did a 5-year average of some of our F. coli samples, and our highest in the last 5 years was like 55,000. So we're not even close to that top end for a Class B. But so yeah, we do a very good job at the treatment plant taking care of that.
How far away do you stay from private wells?
250 feet for wells.
Do you ever test those wells?
I think there's a slide in there later on that we're going to talk about on that.
Okay.
That's about all I have right now. So, Ross.
Stand where Zach did. I'm Ross Holfelder. I'm the Metro Grow Operations Supervisor. So I'm kind of responsible for getting the product to the field, getting it applied. So Zach will get the field ready, do all the DNR stuff. It'll be flagged out. We'll have application maps. So every field that we do in Cottage Grove Township and other townships, I'll call, like I called Dan, the highway superintendent, let him know which field we're going to. We'll discuss a route in and a route out that's best for the town roads. We don't ever cut across townships to get to another township. We do have to face a particular way to unload. We have to face uphill so the trailers can empty out. So sometimes you have to go a little bit out of the way. Prefer to make left turns, safer. We always have the roads in consideration when we make this route. And as you can see from the slide there, it talks about that a little bit, and it talks about the well sampling. We do offer free well sampling for homeowners around the fields that we apply in. It's a 1,000 foot, of an application site that will test the houses if they call and request. That's about all I have.
All right, we'll wrap us up.
So how many did it take to replace Mike?
Two.
Two right there.
What exactly do you test for if a resident were to say that they wanted their well tested?
We test for nitrates and bacteria.
So no testing for the PFAS.
No, we don't test for the PFAS, but there's other sources of
Okay.
ways to get tested for that. So,
County has been.
yes, that's a good source. So this is a good segue into PFAS. We wanted to talk a little bit about what we know about biosolids and PFAS. And so, the first thing I like to always tell people is that as a treatment plant, we receive everything from our community. So we're not really a source of the PFAS, but we receive all the PFAS and they get in the wastewater stream. And our treatment plant isn't designed to treat for PFAS. So it's one of those, what we call as a pass-through pollutant. So same as chloride or salts, we can't treat for that. PFAS is similar, goes right through. So we recognize that that's a concern. We know the community has a concern about it. So we started sampling our biosolids in 2021. So we've sampled for 3 years now. And the good news is that the levels that we're finding is really below any of the thresholds DNR has said that requires any action of land appliers. And so, DNR sort of uses the information they have in understanding that biosolids have a certain types of PFAS. There's thousands and thousands of PFAS, but we've identified that certain types like to go into the biosolids. That's what some of the research is showing. And that DNR uses that information and says, okay, do those types of PFAS really like to get into the soil? Do they like to move around? And so based on that information, they can kind of tell you how much PFAS you have in your biosolids and what then can happen on the land. And so that's when we talk about we're below these thresholds, that's what we're talking about. We're below the thresholds that DNR has determined that the PFAS won't accumulate in the soil and things like that.
But that testing is per season or per load?
Oh, so we sample our biosolids on a quarterly basis. So it's a quarterly basis, and it's all the types of biosolids that Zach explained. So yeah, so it's not every load.
Is there a potential problem if I have every 3 years product put on for 10 years, 12 years, that I'm going to accumulate enough PFAS that are going to then move through the ground to the groundwater that's then going to get in my well?
Yeah, so that's a piece of information that we just don't quite know yet about this sort of accumulation factor. We know that DNR and EPA is looking at these thresholds to say, okay, they're taking into account this sort of accumulation factor. So if they say it's safe to apply biosolids at this certain level of PFAS, they're basically saying that we feel it won't accumulate if you use it at that type of level. So the good thing about our program is that we, as Zach explained, we only go to fields once every 3 years. And so, we feel that it's a good sort of extra safeguard for accumulation. But I think the take home message is that the biosolids and the PFAS in our biosolids are at such low levels that we really don't have to worry about this accumulation factor, right? The levels we see in our biosolids are sort of akin to background levels that you see from the community. We don't have manufacturers of PFAS in our service area. We don't have tons of industry giving us a lot of PFAS. The PFAS we get really is a sort of residential baseline. And so the levels we see when you compare them to biosolids across the whole country is, really, really low, because it's pretty much what's background and what you just expect to see for a pass-through pollutant. But that doesn't mean we just ignore it, right? We still want to make sure that we're responsibly applying and making sure that we're keeping up with the latest research to understand about this bioaccumulation, to understand what levels can get into the soil and the groundwater, and where things can become like a higher risk. So we really rely on EPA for those types of things. EPA is our risk assessor. They're actively doing that research. We're hoping this year that they're come out with information for us to help guide us even further to be safe with our biosolids. So we really rely on DNR and EPA and others to help guide us. So
I've heard somewhere in the town of Dunn, they sampled a well and they have a hot spot of PFAS. Have you heard?
I mean, I've
about
seen
that?
some data from wells. It's hard to know all the sources. I mean, there's many sources, other kinds of fertilizer, pesticide. There's all kinds of sources of PFAS out there that's in the environment. So, it's hard to know exactly why there's higher amounts in certain wells than others, especially when you don't see a consistent pattern. But, I don't really know much information other than that.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to give you just the scale of what I'm talking about when I say low levels, right? So DNR has said that 20 part per billion PFAS for 2 PFAS compounds combined is sort of this threshold that you don't want to apply or have changes. We test our biosolids, our combined levels are at 8. So, it's a big difference between 8 and 20 in my mind, especially when you're talking about these really, really low levels. And so that's sort of some context that we have background levels around 8, but DNR has said that you can go up higher than that, but we don't do that. Similar to our metals and the stuff you heard from Zach, we have really good quality biosolids.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Questions?
Yeah, you mentioned your concentrations are in parts per billion, yet the DNR has a standard of, I believe it's 70 parts per trillion for PFAS in drinking water. How do you account for that big increase in the PFAS and the biosolids versus what's being allowed in the drinking water?
So when you talk about PFAS and risk, you have to think about exposure and what's the primary route of exposure for people to PFAS. It's going to be what you drink and what you eat, right? And so when you look at setting levels like EPA or the state, they set it based on that risk exposure assessment. So if you're talking about drinking water, you're going to have a much different number because you have a much different risk exposure than you would for a land applied biosolids, right? Because that's not made to be ingested. People aren't eating that. So that's why you see a difference in these levels. You also see a difference between how things work in the environment, right? So people do research, understand that these levels move, transform, chemical reactions occur. And so that's another reason why you see a discrepancy. So a biosolid is not the same as a drinking water, which is not the same as a surface water, which is not the same as, the roots of a plant, right? They're all different things in the environment. And so we have different ways to look at that exposure and risk. So that's how I'd answer that question.
But I think you have to account for the fact that town has a number of private wells that people are getting their drinking water from, and those wells are relatively shallow. They're only 70 feet deep versus a lot of the municipal wells are hundreds of feet deep. So although you're right, I think, the biosolids are applied on the surface. The fact that they could get into the drinking water because the wells are there, people are getting drinking water from there.
They would definitely, at some point in time, percolate down to the water table, won't they? Because they aren't going to degrade and plants aren't taking it up.
So that's where this cutting edge research is actually happening, right? Like how does biosolids move, right? And so DNR is on the forefront of that, EPA is on the forefront of that. It's sort of what they're using to set these numbers and levels. And they found that the types of PFAS that are in biosolids are the type that really don't like to move that much, right? They're showing some bait and transport studies saying that things really only move 20 to 30 feet versus 70 to 100 feet. And so, it depends on the types of PFAS, depends on how much is there, how much it's going to move. Certainly does be taken up by plants, but sometimes the PFAS just likes to sit in the roots, doesn't go up into the leaves or into the fruit, right? But it all depends on how much there is, the types you're looking at, the soil, how much water is there. There's all kinds of factors. So I think, we keep a close tab on that type of research so we can use the latest information to inform what we do. But right now, the information coming out is that it doesn't migrate, at least the types of PFAS in biosolids, doesn't migrate as far as maybe some other types of PFAS like to do.
I just had another quick question. You mentioned there's some free sampling available for people within a 1,000-foot radius. Would that sampling include PFAS that the MMSD would pay for monitoring of PFAS 1,000 feet from where the application takes place?
We had that question. So we only test for nitrate and bacteria. We do not test for PFAS in our current well testing. So I think someone mentioned there was other sources of well testing.
Yeah.
The county, yeah.
Public Health has been doing some.
Good.
But they had limited amount of money for around places like here, but if you wanted to do it on your own, it's like $500. Yeah. So I mean, it's the problem for testing for this kind of stuff, and all the it's billions of dollars that would need to be spent to over something that is still really an unknown what it even does. And there's so many different kinds. Yeah. So I had a question in the back.
Yeah, I guess two quick questions. One is just to follow up on that. There was a letter that came a couple weeks ago, and I was going to pull that before I came tonight, but I couldn't find it. My wife is gone, and she thinks she has that. But yeah, I can't remember what it said, and I was hoping somebody else would know what I'm talking about, because I obviously don't. But
it was a recent letter.
It did say there was a opportunity for testing, but I thought like they were going to follow up with a call or something, and I don't remember.
Well, I don't know what letter you're talking about. I know that we do send out letters, and we're just about to send out some letters for this year, so I don't think it's one of our letters.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it was about wells, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was testing available, but I thought they were going to like
When we had checked.
follow up with us. Anyway, could you clarify the 20 parts per billion DNR threshold?
We sent a letter to
is for what?
the farmers about today's meeting. Oh,
So the 20 part per billion threshold that DNR set is for having to make any changes to your land application program. So they feel like that's the level that says, okay, if you have this much PFAS in your biosolids, now we want you to do.
So it's the threshold for biosolids.
It's the biosolids, correct.
But it's like
Marty, I just have a follow-up question. I thought that was guidance from the state of Michigan. I was unaware that the DNR had a draft interim strategy for land application of biosolids.
Yes, the DNR does. It's modeled after Michigan. I don't know if it's exact. And as Zach pointed out, there's a 20 part per billion, but there's also different thresholds that trigger different actions. So the 20 part per billion is the lowest threshold. If you go on the DNR website, type in PFAS biosolids, you can find it pretty easily.
Okay, once again, you're saying that DNR does have a strategy. It's not just Michigan's guidance.
100%, that is exactly what I'm saying. You just type in PFAS biosolids, WDNR, and Google, it'll come right up.
I was just curious that my understanding, and it might not be right, is that the treatment that is applied to the sewerage to make our biosolids deals with the phosphorus, because the phosphorus is regulated, but potassium is not. So is that the reason we don't have much potassium in biosolids? And is there ever the possibility that it's going to be processed in such a way that we can get more potassium rather than, and is the potassium just going down the
I'm
river?
smiling very largely because you're not the first person to ask us if we can fine tune our processes to have a little bit more potassium.
I
in our
am the first
nutrient.
person or
No,
not?
you are not. So we can only control so much in the processes. And so our nutrient mix is pretty much what it is. It's heavy in phosphorus. There's a little changes we can make that maybe can bring that potassium up a little bit, but not to levels that people really want. So I don't know, Zach, if you have any, I know we talked about this.
Yeah. There's different things you could add, if you had different process or different products, but we're just not there right now. Like you say, we're regulated by nitrogen. So yeah, there's not much more we can do. Everybody would like a little more potassium.
I was just
in the
curious.
biosolids, yeah.
No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I had a question, Marty. You mentioned you're hauling this stuff out to farmers' fields. Do you have an idea how much in a typical year you do haul out to an individual farmer's field with MetroGrow?
Can you repeat the question? You want to know how much, like the program as a whole, or how much?
No, just to an individual farmer's field in one typical year, how much MetroGrow is brought in and land applied to an individual farmer's field, in the town of Cottage Grove?
Chuck, you mean pounds per acre?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Question I know, how much the program as a whole?
Okay, yeah, so I can answer that one. So like as I said, we're regulated by nitrogen. So we base our rates on the nitrogen needs of the crops according to the UW A2809. So it varies some. So, if it was the previous crop was soybeans, there's going to be some legume credit there. If you're going corn on corn, we can go a little bit higher. So we're averaging maybe 160 pounds of nitrogen per acre, and there is some variances in the nutrients in there. So our rate can fluctuate some, but it 6,500 gallons per acre maybe, which sounds like a lot, but it's a 5% solid product, so it's 95% water.
Okay.
And if you convert that down to dry tons, we're probably around 1.5 dry tons per acre on average.
Okay. And is that all applied all throughout the year, or is it in the spring and the fall, or when do you bring in the MetroGrow?
So we have our spring application season, which is pretty short because everybody wants to get their crops in the ground. And then we have a summer application season once wheat comes off. So we apply on some wheat fields, and then fall once the corn and soybeans start coming off.
Okay, thank you.
And we do on average, we did over 6,000 acres this last year.
Is that just in Cottage Grove?
No, as a whole, about 6,000 acres as a whole.
And you only apply once to a field every 3 years?
Correct, yep, on average, yep. Yeah.
Sir?
So are you sending out notices for nitrate testing in the wells into the neighbors?
So if you're within 1,000 feet of an application site, you're on a list and you do get notified from the district that we offer the testing. So we don't test every field every year. We have a rotating sort of system.
Okay.
So if you are within those distances, you'll get some point.
I am, but I don't know that I've ever seen one.
Okay,
I
well,
live next door to Mike Nordhaus, so maybe he just took me off the list. I'll get in touch with you.
yeah, no problem.
Maybe the previous owner got them and
True.
didn't get
Update
updated.
your information.
That does happen because you can opt out, and then
Oh.
probably opt that address out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mike did do it then. No.
Ma'am?
I have lived in the same house for 50 years out in Cottage Grove, and they just started putting MetroGrow on the land. Last fall, I got the letter that the nitrate level was too high, and I cannot drink the water. I'm too old for drinking water that has over 10, which is the limit for nitrates. So I have been bringing in water now since last August. And I had it checked to be sure that your records and mine were the same. So I went to the hygiene lab and had them do a test. And yes, indeed, the water is not drinkable for me. And so I don't know what to do with that. I called Zach, I've talked to Zach, and they say, you just have to go and have a filter put in. But I don't know if I should. It isn't my land. The farmland does not belong to me. But somebody, you know, is using MetroGrow, and I am not able to drink the water now. The bacteria is fine, but not the nitrates. And also, on a side note, I did have my water tested for PFAS. And it was very good. No problems at all. And I also had it tested for lead, to be sure there wasn't any lead in my water. And that was fine. It's just the nitrates, and that's caused by fertilizer. And so here I am. I can't drink my water. Can't use it for cooking. You can use it for bathing. But water is a big, important thing in our lives, to have good, clean water. And the water I had tasted wonderful. And if you have it filtered, you take out all that good taste. So I don't want to have it filtered, but I can't drink it either. And I don't know that anybody ever checked with me after you sent the letter saying, you know, it's high. Nobody ever called to say anything about the wells. You know, you just send a letter and that's it.
I'm sorry to hear about your water.
Yeah, right.
I was kind of thinking if there's some magical drops that people put in after filtering to make it taste better, you add like the minerals back. I know that.
I think you can maybe do that, but it's probably very costly. And I live on a hill, so I know that it isn't water bringing fertilizer down into my area. And I have over a 200-foot well. So I should have really good water, and I have had good water, and I'm just upset that this just started.
Had your well been ever tested before?
I got it tested every 3 years. And I asked my neighbor if his well was bad. And he said, and he's the one who regulates all the land. And he said he's never had it checked ever. And I think that's a problem, to never have your wells checked. I mean, you know.
So I don't understand. The letter came from where to tell you that
Metro. That's Metro.
and how did you test their water?
Yeah, so we
Yes.
have a well testing program if you're a certain distance from any application site, so.
Or they would have requested that test, or you did it automatically?
So we send out information to tell people that we offer it, and then they can say, yep, sounds great. Test my water, and then we'll do it and send you the results.
But you don't do every well. Because when I first saw the truck on the field, I called and said, can I have my water tested? And they said, well, we can't do all the wells. And so you can maybe get on a list. And if you get on the list, then, you know, you'll get a card and then you send it in. And so I did send it in, and I did get someone the first time. And then last year, so 2 years in a row, I've had the college girls come out and test the wells.
What kind of numbers?
What?
What kind of nitrate level?
Mine is 12.6, and 10 and over is not drinkable, especially for people over 65.
Have you looked at, instead of a filter, using reverse osmosis?
I haven't looked at any of those yet. I've been reading about them and trying to figure out how costly it's going to be. But I thought I would wait until spring and retest it with the hygiene lab and see if maybe it has gone down some. Because one letter I got from Metro said it was 3. And the next year it said it was 12.6. Now that can't be.
So what happens then though? You get a letter, you get it tested, and you guys say, yeah, it's really high. Is that where it ends?
That's where it ends.
There's thousands of wells that are over 10.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. But she's talking a little different situation if these two things explain each other in a way that if it was the first time you've had MetroGrow, There might be a crack in the rocks or something right there or something, could be. It's possible, but my point is, then what? You don't have a thing to say, hey,
Metro Go have a program to
Yeah,
help
to
them with
say-
that.
No, we don't. I mean, typically, it's hard to know if we're the direct source, so we give people options for what to do,
Yeah.
like filters and things like that. We're just the information sharer, so people can make good decisions. And sorry to hear you're having challenges, but
yeah,
I'm glad you're doing your research and hopefully you can come up with something that works for you.
Well, I hope so.
when Hydrite had all the problems out here some years back, Hydrite paid for tons of wells as a private enterprise, obviously, but, and I think they're still deep
Still
wells,
testing,
still
still
testing.
pumping,
That's been 25 years.
20 years at least.
It was a biggie, a big thing, you know. A lot of farm, it went straight almost east,
You might,
southeast.
you might check with Dane County Public Health, see if they would help with the water.
Well, I contacted all of those people. And
Oh,
it just,
They don't have a
there's nothing
program?
they can do except say, go and get a filter. You can get a whole house filter, or you can get one that is under your kitchen sink. But when the water comes out filtered, it's much slower because it can't do all that. You can't get gallons out quickly.
yeah,
And, but I am, and I think it's probably good to have it filtered. It's just the loss of the taste. And since I have gotten water, I get it from lots of different people. I go play cards and I take gallons and get gallons of water. And it is amazing the taste of the people's water all around this county. Some towns have the worst tasting water. It's, you know, now mine was good. And I get some from somebody who's filtering it, who had Hydrate, they had theirs, and their water tastes good. But there's a lot of water that tastes terrible because they put so much stuff in it.
okay.
Well, I just want
I-
to point out the last slide up there does have our contact info. So if there's any questions you didn't think of, you want to contact us.
I have a couple questions left. Marty, one, I just have a question of who pays for the MetroGrow? Does the farmer pay the MMSD to bring in the MetroGrow, or does the MMSD pay the farmer to accept the MetroGrow? Or is it a free service that just happens? How does that work?
So we offer the MetroGrow product free of charge.
Okay.
And, you know, that comes with a little caveat because we have to work with the farmers to make sure we can get it applied in the spring. So they may have to hold fields open for us. So, you know, sometimes farmers can take yield losses. So we do have a program to help sort of make farmers whole if that's the case, but it's definitely a free product.
Okay.
That we
Okay.
offer. Yeah.
And then the other question, I guess, just you mentioned the proactive approach that the MMSC is taking. In the future, do you think there's any opportunity that the MMSD would undertake, you know, PFAS monitoring of private wells in areas where MetroGrow is being applied, or not?
I don't know the answer to that. I think if we learn more about sources of PFAS and we can point to sources and stopping a source helps something change, then we'll jump all in to do the right thing. But until that happens, I'm not sure if I can say that we'll be doing a well testing program for PFAS.
And you're not aware of any MetroGrow site throughout the county that has already tested high for PFAS?
Can you answer that? A MetroGrow site that's tested high for PFAS? Is that what you're asking?
That you're aware of, yeah, that you're aware of.
You mean like a soil test?
No,
Like a MetroGrow site, like a field?
a drinking water test.
Oh, okay. So you're asking, do I know of any wells that are in MetroGrow fields?
That have tested high for PFAS, yes. Countywide.
I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. I don't
Okay.
have that data. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's high? Like I'd have to learn a little bit more to answer that for you. You mean over the drinking water standard?
Yeah, there's a standard that the DNR's established for 70 parts per trillion. And that's a combined of the two top PFAS constituents. And, you know, the county has been going through and monitoring it, but I didn't know if you guys were aware of anyone that had tested over 70 parts per trillion for the two top PFAS constituents.
No, yeah, we're not in the drinking water data game. We, you know, we'd have to talk to our partners to get that information.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think it's something that we, the communities, have to watch it develop to see if and when it reaches our wells.
Yeah.
Because I would guess at some point it's going to get down there. I just don't know how long it's going to take to percolate down through the soil. See what the DNR will set for standards at some point. Kevin?
I just want to reiterate that first slide that Marty showed. The importance of recycling our human waste stream back, you know, to where the crops are produced that we consume is critical. I mean, we have to do that. So otherwise, we're just going to displace nutrients into other parts of the environment. We're going to have environmental effects, you know, as bad or worse as maybe as PFAS. I don't know that much about PFAS, but we have to do this. And so we also have to, in terms of things like PFAS and heavy metals and other contaminants that get into our waste stream, you know, that's what we need to focus on as a society, is keeping those things out of the waste stream so that we can recycle our waste appropriately. I work in crop production and environmental issues associated with farming. And so I get around the state a lot, and I see some of these other municipal biosolids application programs. And I have to say that the MetroGrow program, relative to some of what I see in some of these other programs, does a really good job, you know, in terms of, you know, soil conservation, and just, I think, even application of nutrients and just the transportation logistics, and it all seems like, you know, top-notch operation. Is everything perfect? No, but generally speaking, I think they do a good job. I get it on my farm, and I've been very happy.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks.
Moving on, discuss and consider approval of a parade or race permit for Andrew Herring applicant representing Greenwood Foundation to conduct a charitable half marathon affecting town road crossings of the Goodwill Trail on April 13th. 2024. You have all of that in your packet.
It's online.
Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Anything you want to tell us?
Well, no, I guess the only thing I would say, this event was held last year at the same location at Bakken Park. The APDA Wisconsin chapter, well, the Gray Wolf Foundation is located here in Cottage Grove, and we were a sponsor of this event last year, and they asked us to help this year in the running of it. So it's not, I guess the two things I would just emphasize is number one, it's not different than what occurred last year, and we were in talk with people. I don't think there were any major issues. And then the second thing I would say is we're only involved in this as the Gray Wolf Foundation because it's in Cottage Grove. And so it's very important to us and me to make sure that we're doing our due diligence so that it not only raises money for the Parkinson's Association, but it's also a good community event for Cottage Grove. We would not be interested in running a poor event that irritated or annoyed people and then move to another town next year. That's not in our wheelhouse.
Questions?
So it's basically on Glacial Drum and Trail.
Portion that affects the town is, yes.
And did they give us a check or are they?
I'm asking for charitable exemption, which has been the case of all the years that this that's not new.
That's to run the parade, the charitable,
Pardon?
that's it, to run the parade that's the donation for what?
Well, I mean, they're asking the town to waive its fees because it's a charitable event.
Charitable
Yeah,
for Parkinson's.
yeah, and what other fees do we have? We got a
It's
permit
$100 permit fee and a $400 deposit fee,
and then they get the 400 back.
right?
If
Yeah.
So
you don't dig any ditches in the trail.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the EMS services and?
Yep.
I
That's
did get,
in your packet here. They've contacted
I did get confirmation of that from the chief as well.
that second paragraph from the top.
There you go.
Deputies have no concerns.
Approval of the race and parade permit for the Gray Wolf Foundation to conduct a charitable half marathon affecting Town Road Crossing, the Glacial Drumlin Trail, and that we waive the $500 fee.
Motion by Duplay. Is there a second? Second by Anders to approve the parade race permit for Gray Wolf Foundation for the American Parkinson Disease Association and to forgo the fees for their April 13th of 2024 half marathon and 5K run.
So do we always do away with the fees that could be for damage? We're just waiving $100, right?
You have always, I mean, you have historically waived both for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so something happens, we pay for it, right?
Yeah, this one isn't probably as much risk as some of the other ones because it's not
Yeah.
on the road, it's on the trail. Some of the other ones do have more potential for that when they run on the road. So
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is to discuss.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Could I interrupt for 1 second?
Discuss and consider approval of a 3-lot certified survey map for Jeff Schleckow on Gala Way. And if you remember, that goes
All over the
way
place.
back. We've dealt with this thing forever. Lot 1 and 2 were for home sites. Lot 3 was deed restricted for something else.
it's going to be zoned NRC.
NRC,
It's zoned NRC and deed restricted that it can't be developed
yeah.
residentially. Very odd shaped piece.
Yes, it is, but couldn't do much with it.
After they started piecing it off to
Yeah,
add to this lot, add to that lot, add to this, add to that.
right.
drive by there every day.
So is there a motion or questions?
What
For lot 1, which is the res lot, right?
One of them.
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
One and 2 are residential. Where are they gonna put the driveway for lot 1? Up on Gala Way somewhere, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Gala Way. Because we don't want them coming out and by this hole
No,
there, right after that
there.
corner. Yeah. So lot 1 and lot 2
Are
would
both
come
gonna
off of
be
Gala
accessed off
Way.
of Gala Way.
So we've got a series of 3 maps here, the general one and one for each of the lots. individually,
Yeah.
Correct? And it looks like 7 pages total. I would move approval of the 7-page certified survey map dated 8/10 of 23. And also I'm going to add the map number 22W-237 as presented to us.
Second.
Motion by Anders, second by DePlate to approve the certified survey map dated 8/10 of 2023, map number 22W-237.
I wonder what that cost,
Any discussion on that motion?
10,000.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next
Chris,
item.
this gentleman still got a question
Oh,
for you.
I was just gonna say, I really appreciate you having the Metro Girl people here. I mean, this project, you can see, I mean, what was the chances that that woman's well is gonna go bad
Yeah.
when it did? It's really too bad. But just to keep people informed is really helpful. Just want to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Bill O'Leary. I think the clerk thinks that. The rest of you guys, I don't know.
Next item is discuss and consider agreement with Dane County for 2024-25 municipal bridge inspections. Do they have the right number?
Bridges?
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually have Baxter Road. on there.
7?
I've never seen it on any of the other write-ups they do. So that's the one I said we were gonna have to report to them.
Yeah.
Because it's not in any of my other
Oh,
inspection reports. And then
no, it's here.
we'll see if they inspect it.
For a total of $3,800. And we don't know if it'll be done this year or next year. Do we?
Should be this year's.
Will they do it this year?
It should be, yeah. Last year's was done, or, yeah, this year's hasn't been done
They
yet.
do it every 2 years.
Oh, and it's probably not till next year. 'Cause they would have did it in 23, remember? Because up off and Femrite got replaced, so they didn't do those ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably in 25 then.
Okay.
That's right, it's 2 years, yeah.
The one on Seagull Cow, is that under 20?
So look how the 620, that falls under the 6 to 20 now. That's not a legal bridge. It's under 20.
It is,
Yeah.
okay. Questions?
Yeah, unreal, kind of sort of related, but not. The new bridge on Vilas Hope on the northwest end of it where you've been banging it with the plow because the roadway's gone down,
Vilas Hope?
or is it Femrite, I'm sorry.
Oh, Femrite? Yeah,
Femrite.
it's settled, yeah.
Are they gonna fix it?
Which side?
It's on,
Northwest.
it's Madison's
That's
responsibility now.
That's Madison's Bridge?
Yeah.
No, it
That half.
Okay, what do you mean? The north half and or the east half and the west half?
Yeah.
Or is it the,
Down the middle of the creek.
The Millie Creek, yep, the stream.
And they haven't paid us yet, have they?
No.
Who did the work?
Houston.
Houston's.
I don't know what kind of warranty, I don't know what falls into that. Yeah, we've noticed that too. We were gonna go out and measure it, see how much it's dropped.
No kidding, wow.
Yeah,
Because you could see where, no offense to you guys, I mean, it's no fault to you guys, but where the cutting edge of the plows come in and chunked out the concrete. Because it's
The
enough
west
of a
end of
step.
Madison's. Ours is the east.
yeah, and I mean, it was just like last snowfall, maybe 2 snowfalls. They weren't very big snowfalls that had really happened. So, yeah, it just started
On our side or their
a
side?
month and a half ago. Their side, 2 months
I
ago,
guess we don't worry about it then, do we?
January.
That should be up to them to get a hold of Houston's then. I wonder if Houston's know about
They're
it.
not even doing road inspections or anything. They've never came over on that side. I've never gotten a hold of well, actually, the highway superintendent for that section of town has never called me back. So,
From Madison?
yeah. I talked to a lady in the office and she gave me my message, but I never heard anything from them.
So for the Femrite Bridge, should we only be charged half? Because half of it's Madison's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably.
true.
They maybe haven't caught up with that yet.
That's a good point though.
That annexation's gone through though, hasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gone through.
I never even looked at the number. I never even
23.
looked at the number on it. Is it the same or do they have a? Yeah, they're just charging us normal, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, good catch. Never thought about that.
They probably don't realize it's in
City of Madison.
Nope.
Well, tell them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, is there action?
I'd move approval of the proposal.
Dane County Highway.
Second.
Motion by Andrews, second by Dupuy to approve the bridge inspection for 2024-25 Dane County Highway and Transportation as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carried. Discuss and consider approval for the highway superintendent to attend the WTA Road School on April 30th and May 1st. Got in your packet what they have.
Chula, wow.
What do they have?
Just so you know, I'm not gonna go there at 6:30 in the morning. I'll be there by the 8 o'clock registration.
Not even for breakfast?
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna drive all the way up there just for that.
Their food's real good up at Chula.
Yeah, I'm sure, we've been there a couple times, but yeah, I don't know. That's a early morning.
Be there by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, pretty much.
I move approval of the highway superintendent to attend the Dane County, or the WTA Road School.
Motion by Dupuy, is there a second?
second.
Second by Fonger to approve the highway superintendent's attendance at the WTA inaugural Spring Road School for 2024 on April 30th, May 1st. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, discuss and consider approval of online banking access for Deputy Clerk Jennifer Millage.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Dupuy, second by Anders to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, discuss and consider alternate plan dates for the town board meeting scheduled for April 1st and November 4th,
2024. Do the
I don't
third?
know what to say about this, because the more I think about it, the more I think every time I try to change things, it always gets worse. for me.
It's worse.
So I don't know what the right thing to do is, but anyway, I mean, on both of those dates, we will have the room set up for a big election the next morning. And, you know, I have my hands full. We have our hands full getting ready for the election, much less. I guess the only other thing I could maybe do is I generally try to get like all the bills right up to today. And maybe I cut everything off on Friday, so all my work for the meeting is done, and I don't worry about any, you know, get all my reports done on Friday. So I mean, that would probably be a better plan, maybe. Because my Monday afternoons are pretty full. I mean, that's when I do all your reports. I try to get everything up through today's mail in here, but I could cut it off on Friday. Maybe that's a better way to do it.
Go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like no matter what we do to move it, it's gonna make another long day for me.
If possible, we'll try and cancel it.
Well, or yeah, I mean, if we can shuffle stuff around so it's not a big meeting, because you're not gonna have a lot of seating.
Right,
So you don't want to do something that's gonna be a big hot topic.
right.
That's
No
for
no
sure.
ATV, UTV.
No,
stuff.
probably not. So I guess,
When do you think about moving it to?
well, I'm saying now, maybe we
No.
don't move it.
Or just do it a Thursday? It's like, right, because usually Wednesday you get all your stuff kind of picked up.
Yeah, but they got 2 more meetings in here that Thursday night.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, so.
We do?
And then by the time, isn't that when you're
April
having fire and landfill? Or no,
April 4th.
yeah,
April 4th is for March.
At fire station.
well, I mean, honestly, when I
Election is
think
on
about it,
4/2.
if I just cut off those reports at
Okay,
Friday,
well, see
it probably will be
April
fine.
4th? April 4th, we have landfill and fire. Okay.
They got moved because of spring break probably, right?
Yeah.
So let's just do that. I'll just plan on cutting it off
Okay.
Friday.
Friday.
There may be some bills that come right at the beginning of the month that I'll have to pay
Oh,
before the
yeah.
next meeting, because that's always when everything comes, is right at the end of the month, and it's always tough to get them in that first meeting anyway, but
Yeah.
why don't I just plan on that?
What about the
Okay.
November
And then
4th
we'll see
meeting?
how that works, maybe.
We'll see how it
And then-
works
And then we'll
when we
see.
get there.
Yeah, then we'll decide on November, but the only thing, like I said, is we're gonna have the room set up probably to a little greater degree than we did in February. So it'll be very limited seating.
All right, moving on, set a date for the annual road and park inspections. When will you be ready?
Whenever you want me to be.
How soon in March or April do you want to do it? I mean, we could look at next week if you want. Or we could go to the first week in April.
I think that's a better,
We could do it on
Better.
election day.
could end up being bad weather again, we don't know,
Yeah.
no sense doing it too quick.
Want to do it Friday,
Which Friday?
the 5th of April?
April 5th? Steve?
Checking.
Yeah. You want to do 10 o'clock again?
Sure.
Sure. April 5th for road inspection. 10 a.m. So be it.
Steve, you're in 2026 there. Just kidding.
You made him look.
You're right.
Public Works, road right away.
No road right of way permits since last meeting. 'Tis the season though, they'll be coming in now. One thing I did have written down was, we've been talking about compost, opening that up. We actually set the bunker up today. So I would say by the end of the week, we'll be ready to open it up. So if we want to post it for like Monday, like it's officially open. I'm sure people are gonna drive by and see it's up and they're gonna start throwing stuff in there
If you
anyway.
have it ready by the time you leave on Friday, you might as well tell them.
Well, it might not, because we moved it this year, so it should be all right. I don't know.
You want to just post it for Monday?
I would just post it for Monday.
Okay.
I don't want to come in on Monday and see the parking lot full
Yeah.
already, is my thing. And we don't have any trucks set up to haul compost right now.
Right.
We are
So
getting questions about it already.
that's the other thing. So we did just put the conveyor on the one truck today, because we're gonna start doing some shouldering. But that means I have to tear another truck apart to haul compost. So, and we have to tear spill shields out of the back, we have to take Salter off. So that's another truck that we have to put back together if we do get weather, which.
Careful with the salt there.
I know, I don't wanna have too many tore down, but I guess we'll do what we gotta do, because I know we're gonna get a couple more snows this year. It's just, we know what's gonna happen. So I think we'll just, open it for Monday, and then next week we can get stuff tore off a truck, to the point where if we need to haul, we can.
Okay.
Purple
then-
Cow has already taken it. They don't have any seasonal thing, do they?
No, so the village, I talked with the new John, the new public works director. He was the utilities superintendent or whatever he was before he got moved up, that Brian left the village. Well, he came up and introduced himself or whatever. We got talking. They're doing compost 24/7, 365 now,
Really?
the villages. Wow. So Purple Cow has agreed to take their compost all year long. I told them we were just the seasonal people, right? Like, so I go, we're gonna open it up any sooner than we have to, but they are taking stuff, so they are open. We were in there today just to make sure that they're actually open to everybody. I talked to the guy in the loader, and he's City Masson brings their stuff every day, so they're ready to go, but
We're also talking to Waste Management to try to get the e-cycle week set up.
yeah, I emailed you on when I got here tonight.
Okay.
There's always the first week in May. Do we
It
want
has
to
been.
include the last part of April and just do that week? So you go the 29th through like the 5th of May, something like that,
I'll suggest that to them, see how that works.
right? It's 29th through the Mondays the 5th.
So you want to cut it off on Sunday, not do
Sunday,
what we did
Sunday.
last year.
Yeah,
Through the 5th.
well, you would say the 4th, right?
That's a Saturday.
Don't take any more through the 4th, because we got to have the trailer loaded on Monday the 5th. So, because they come grab the trailer on Monday, so,
Yeah, so we want people to have everything there by Sunday.
yeah.
I'll suggest that and see if that works for them then.
Okay, yeah, so they drop off on the 29th or whenever works for them.
Yeah,
The week before is fine too. We just won't set it up till the 29th. And then we'll have it ready so they can pull it off our lot on the 5th.
okay.
Yeah. Other than that, I'll just get ready for road inspection.
Okay. Clerk treasurer?
I don't know if you're interested at all in like the turnout stats for the election, but we had 276 total voters. 125 of those were absentee, so about 45% of the turnout was absentee, 10% total turnout. I like to figure out the cost per ballot for some crazy reason. Cost per ballot was $7.54. And the other cost that I also calculated is just based on postage alone. It cost us $121 for ballots that were not returned.
Wow, Jesus.
Holy cow.
Well, you don't have a choice.
No.
I was the second to the last voter that night.
Yeah. So anyway, the ballots are coming in for the April election. Actually, Amber doesn't know this yet, but they're bringing them in Thursday. So we'll have them early, earlier than we hoped for. They have to be out by next Tuesday, so we shouldn't have any problem doing that. Yeah. But there's, I don't know, there's probably a couple hundred now on the list already for that, and that'll just keep climbing.
Yeah.
So that's one is over and done, but it went really well. And we got the few new workers in that got their feet wet at it, and it went very well. So, and then the only other thing was, I think 3 of you have already answered me, but Board of Review, they want to do April 25th. Is that going to be
Oh,
for you?
Works for me.
shouldn't be a
It's
problem.
a Thursday, so I already told them yes, because I had 3 out of 5, so.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what time?
7 to 9, like it
7 to 9?
They're only gonna do open book by phone. Does anybody have a problem with that? Usually doesn't have much traffic anyway, but
Why?
I don't know. That's what they've been pushing for recently.
Less expense for them because they don't have to send a body down. Yeah.
So I mean,
Now we're down, now we're back.
I can push that if you guys think that somebody should be here in person, because
I don't
I
know.
kind of can go both ways on that personally.
Well, it seems like when somebody's got a problem and you're talking to somebody on the phone, that's not very professional to me. I hate to say it, but
What happens if they bring paperwork and then try,
yeah, that's what
they
I'm
gotta
saying.
try and find some way to scan it or
Yeah.
email it or
Yeah,
fax it or. I vote for in person,
that's,
my opinion.
I'm
I
sick
think
of
that's
one
always
half dozen of the
nicer.
other.
Especially if you have somebody here. If we don't have anybody here, fine.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just it. If he doesn't have appointments, then I guess you can always have the danger that somebody just thought you could say, like, you don't have to come if you don't get any appointments, but then you always got somebody that didn't make
But
one.
you don't have to accept it
Yeah.
that night.
but you're saying if he had 4 appointments, he'd do it by phone.
No, I'm saying, you could tell him if he has any appointments, he should be here.
Right.
But
Well,
if,
that's what I'm saying.
but if he doesn't get any appointments, then they could still do it by phone at the last minute, but you're always gonna get
Maybe a
somebody
difference.
that was like, well, I thought he was here. Where is he?
Maybe a little different situation. If he has appointments, he should be here.
Yeah.
Period.
I think
And
it's
then on
better.
the flip side, there may be people that aren't available and are in person that time of the day and would rather do it by phone too, but you should be able to talk on the phone here too if he had to.
Yeah. True.
I'll see if he can, I'll tell him we would like.
Go to meeting,
Yeah. I'll
Run a
tell
phone
him
line in here.
we
go
would
to meeting.
like to have him in person if at all possible. Tell him
Yeah,
that.
I'd say that's what we've been paying for. Hate to say it, but
I agree with you, Mike.
Okay.
All right, that's all I had.
Board reports and communications. Wednesday at 4 is the public information meeting on the landfill, and this is the preliminary draft of the areas that are included in the 3 A, B, and C area. A would get $8,800 come 2028. B would get 3,500 and C would get 1,600. And I don't know how they're going to get it across to people that live on one side of the street. They get it and the other side doesn't. It's a hard, I don't know how they plan on selling that.
Well, thank God, we don't have to explain that.
No. But they basically took what payments were for this year and did, I don't know, 4.5% or whatever increase each year to get it up to 2028 being $8,800.
Is that when they're planning on opening it?
That's, I guess that's when they're looking at it. We got 3 big binders and a
Yeah.
huge map of their operation plan or
whatever, so. But it's our 3 residents on Hope Hollow are the ones that are, the only ones that are in A,
Already.
because they're right across the street from it.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see what the turnout is and how the questions go Wednesday night at the Alliant Center. I think that's all that I had. Cottage Grove Fire. We didn't have much.
Not much.
Firemen have concerns over their increased participation or being paged out to support EMS.
You mean, because when some ambulance leaves, a fire
Because they're
gotta be there
asking,
too, or what?
No,
They're
not
asking-
automatically, but they're being requested more
they're asking
by
for
EMS.
our fire department to drive their ambulance.
If there's a very, say there's a
Serious.
CPR case going on where they need both medics in the back, they're asking for a firefighter to drive, in those cases. Which, and they don't have a problem with that, from what they said. When it's
But it's just,
that kind of a case where they absolutely have to have both paramedics in the back working on the patient, they understand that.
Well, what's the problem then?
They're getting called for other things. Lift assist.
Well, when something starts, it's gonna get bigger.
I basically told the 2 chiefs, they need to work it out between them.
Absolutely, yeah. That shouldn't be,
Don't bring it to
Any
the
other level.
committee because they aren't gonna like what the committee comes up with, probably. Probably not.
probably not.
And it's just best, the 2 of them sit down and decide, okay, these calls will come, these you don't call us or whatever.
Yeah.
But. And even though we have 2 ambulances most of the time in service, if you go ahead and take one of the medics from, say it calls in Cottage Grove, the Deerfield ambulance comes over to assist Cottage Grove, you've taken not 1, but 2 ambulances out of service because the other ambulance can't function by itself. So that's why the fire department plus call volume going up like crazy.
That's for sure.
They still have a lot of false alarms though, too.
yeah.
Is that a lot to do with the growth in the village?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good statistic. If it is true, we should really know about that, obviously.
We'll see the change
Make sure the chief,
this October when the budget is done, what we have to pay.
yeah, good point. Emergency government, we're not gonna have a meeting this coming month, so,
In April.
yeah.
Okay,
And-
probably gonna be a tornado then.
Yeah, well, then we'll have a meeting.
In March, you mean?
Yeah, in March, yeah. But we, American Legion, we bought some cardboard boxes. I don't know if you saw the one that was at Ace Hardware, but it's red, white, and blue, and it's for putting flags in. And we got an extra one. I'm wondering if maybe we could put one here somewhere.
For
American flags,
picking them up for
just
scouts.
people
to
can drop them
dispose-
off or whatever.
Dispose of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Yeah,
picked up the ones at Ace and we bought them another one too, so
sure.
I'll bring it down.
Yeah.
okay, we'll
It's
get,
not big or anything, so.
we can post something that we have that too.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we didn't have a landfill meeting. Nope.
oh, that's right, a different month.
Move we adjourn.
Motion by Duplay.
Second.
Second by Anders for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
I got a question, Kim. Speaking of agendas,